Everyone, thank you very much for coming to today's event on AI and how it is an insider threat to different organizations. Our speaker today is Sam Raven. He is a risk consultant at Risk Crew Limited, and he leads Risk Crew's information security and data collection training programs, fostering on really trying to create a strong cybersecurity awareness within organizations. He's really passionate about protecting organizations' sensitive data and intellectual property. So I'm sure we're going to have a really great talk from him today. And yeah, I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone here. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I please make a plea because I'm hard of hearing. That's why I'm sitting at the front. So hopefully we'll hear the message loudly.
I will enunciate clearly. I'm hard of hearing too. All right. Thank you so much for coming out on this very muggy afternoon to listen to a talk about. You talking to me or?
No, I was just saying you can get a free hearing aid on the NHS.
There you go. Free advice as well. There you go. So 2 for 1.
Rubbish.
I think this is about AI. We could make it about hearing aids, but tonight it is AI. So what I want to do is I want to think about, because it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere. Everyone's talking about AI. I'm bored of saying it. Hi, welcome. Please sit down. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sam. One of the things I'm paid to do is to go into organizations and try and help their AI use, try and make it responsible. What does that mean? So I can't tell you the name, but it's a nationwide health club. They're about to onboard an AI lifeguard. Would you swim? If you weren't so sure about swimming, or if you had kids that weren't so sure about swimming, would you let them jump in a pool knowing the only lifeguard available, AI, whatever that means, and we'll come to that. Would you do that? Show of hands, who would let their kids swim in a pool with just an AF? You would, sir.
I don't have any children, but I'd let other people.
That might be why you don't have any children. Okay, so this is obviously something that makes us feel a bit uncertain. I do this for a living. I try and make sure AI use is responsible. And I do not trust or particularly like AI, but we kind of have to embrace it. Why? Because everyone's using it. Who here has used a chatbot? Who has used ChatGPT or whatever the other one's called, Gemini? Right. And who has pretended to post something very clever on social media that wasn't really written by them? Who's trying? I'm trying not to. Yeah, we've all done it. Now the thing is, you can tell. One of the signals is that's not just X. That's Y. It's over the top. It's hyperbole. Welcome. Hi. Come in. Come and sit down the front. I don't bite. Well, I do, but well, not you. Come on. Come and sit down, please. Please. I'm lonely up here. Oh, thank you. Brave people. It's not stand-up comedy. I'm not going to pick on anyone. Please. Thank you so much. Welcome. Thanks for coming on this muggy afternoon to listen to AI, an AI talk. So it's the long story short. The force has already bolted. AI is already ubiquitous. It's across every single business that I've worked with. People are taking company secrets and putting them into a chatbot. And what do you think happens? What do you think happens? They just stay there, safe, secure. No one does. No. You know what happens to that information unless you've done something about it. It's then the property, pretty much, of the company who runs that AI chatbot to train other models. Now, I use AI a lot as part of my job. And because I use it so much, one of the weird things that I've seen happen is I've asked it a query about a piece of work I've put in. And it's answered in real detail about someone else's input. And I've managed to prompt it. Now, you come in? I've managed to prompt it enough to actually see someone else's intellectual property that I got to know enough, and I did some other research to realize this is something someone else wrote. And it's all right. I like a musical background, leitmotif. Don't do it. Sing along. One of the things I've seen is other people's intellectual property pop up in my window and ChatGPT. That might be your company's secrets. That might get you fired. That might be one of the reasons the Ministry of Defence is in such trouble, because you can't play fast and loose with other people's data, especially if it's sensitive data. Hi, welcome.
Hello. How are you?
Right, I'm all right. It's a bit muggy, but I'm all right. Now, I'm gonna assume Plato said. It was boring when someone says that, isn't it? But Plato said the one thing that Socrates actually, one thing I know is I know nothing. So I'm going to assume I'm going to assume we don't all know everything about AI, and forgive me if you're an expert and you do know this stuff, but I just want to kind of build a base whereby we can all understand what we're talking about. Okay, so what is AI? Very, very, very simply put, this is the simplest I could make it, and I didn't use GPT to do this. AI is software that simply mimics human intelligence. It learns, it reasons, and it makes decisions faster than us, definitely faster than me before coffee, at scale, and that's important, and without fatigue. This should scare you. And if it doesn't, think a bit more about it. Think a bit more about what happens at the end of the day when you've just done that last bit of work and you've really had to haul yourself over the coals. What about if you had competition with someone who's never ever going to get tired? Yeah, it should scare you. So I've already had friends, graphic designers mainly at first, who have lost their jobs, copywriters too, lost their jobs to AI. It's a bit like the Industrial Revolution. It's a little bit like that, except it's a bit more frightening because machinery itself can't compete with us as human beings. We're going to come back to that. Has anyone got any questions thus far? Apart from why on earth did I bother to come tonight? No? Okay, good. All right, this is a simple diagram for those visual learners among us. You hear a lot of buzzwords, AI, machine learning, deep learning. What does it all mean? Well, the headline is AI. All of it's AI, artificial intelligence. And the subset of that is machine learning. The subset of that is deep learning. And the stuff that we use as chatbots, that's generative AI, because it generates stuff, it makes stuff. And from that, the interface, because we talk to it in plain language, it's a LLM, a large language model. Neural networks. What's a neural network and why should we care? Well, for an AI to function, it has to have a model world. Well, what better model of the world than the one we've got sitting right here? This can be done in several ways, but popular method is a neural network. It takes inspiration from the human brain. It's not exactly the same. What's it got in common with the human brain? Well, a neural network consists of small entities, artificial neurons, obviously, and they fire signals at each other. And they react to those signals. Together, these neurons represent the algorithm that determines what the system does. So it's kind of based on our own brain. Now, any of you who have read any Gothic literature, specifically Frankenstein, or Prometheus for the classicists, might be aware that sometimes when we create things in our own image, all those of you who've loved our children, when we create things in our own image, it doesn't always go right, does it? No, you like that. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the response. You laughed until I pointed it out. No, you're pretty serious. Okay, so we've created this in our own image, and that is kind of the problem. When the early days of the LLMs, the early days of the chatbots, I don't know if you saw this news story, they trained it on the whole of the internet. Well, that includes all the crap that everyone's ever said on Reddit. It includes every 4chan group that anyone's ever bothered to join from their mother's basement. And the first LLMs were incredibly racist. Why? Because a lot of human beings are incredibly racist. So one of the big things we're going to come to is how do we avoid our creation being too much like the worst aspects of ourselves, right? It's bias. How do we avoid bias? And one of the things I do when I go into companies to try and make sure their chatbots or homebrewed AI is safe is that I test out their LLMs for bias. I try and get it to say something inappropriate. It's kind of fun. Right? But we mustn't have that because people are going onto these websites, trying to ask for health advice, trying to ask for guidance. And the last thing we want to do is have it, welcome. Hey guys, how you doing? You doing? There's lots of seats at the front. Not a stand-up comedy gig. I won't bite. Thank you very much. Brave soul. Sit at the back. Get settled. Implement neural networks, and the way this algorithm works is it changes like our brains do. It changes over time. Our brains constantly are changing, evolving, building new neural networks. And that's one of the issues. It's quite a nebulous thing, a large language model, because it's always learning. You can't really pin it down too much, and that's issues. The neural network that we're talking about has many layers. It's typically very large, billions of neurons in some models, and understanding the layers in the network represent what they represent and why they function the way they do is a difficult question. I've sort of bored myself talking about neural networks, so let's move on to the wonderful Kate Bush. And why is she up there? Well, she's one of the artists who've got the hump. Why have they got the hump? Because when I told you about the way these LLMs learn, they scrape everything. They scrape the internet. They scrape all intellectual property. And it's working again. Yeah. All right. Apologies to those listening online. You didn't miss anything too important. All right. So we're talking about copyright. These companies stay vague on purpose because they've stolen other people's property. And this is going to be a big issue for these companies. And there's a lot of very wealthy artists, including Kate Bush, including Elton John, who are on the warpath with copyright lawsuits. Now, you know, intellectual property is one thing, but has taken over. Not happy about my criticisms. I lost my tech support. All right, we'll just do it manually.
You would think that the British Communist Society of Computers would work.
You would, absolutely. You would think they would work, and they do work. What doesn't work sometimes is my brain. So Doc AI, here we have Jerry Lewis in the Nutty Professor. Why is he up there? Because if you've listened to the news recently, Keir Starmer has announced that NHS is going to be saved by AI. One example I want to talk about is Isomorphic Labs, spin-off from Google DeepMind. They're preparing the first human clinical trials of AI-designed drugs using AlphaFold 3. Question: if you take a pill that was made by an AI, who would take a pill made by AI? I haven't told you what it does yet. I'm an adventurous soul over here.
Because once it's been through clinical trials from end to end.
If you've been through 3 phases of clinical trials end to end, that's a different story. What would you go into a phase 1 clinical trial and take AI, be the
I
first
need to know
human?
more about it, but I probably wouldn't go into a first phase of a clinical trial full stop.
There we go. Okay, right. So fair enough. Good point. But I personally wouldn't use an AI drug. Why? Because they make confident mistakes, and we're going to come to that in a minute. So just for a second, imagine if the smartest, most tireless member of your team never slept, never forgot anything, and couldn't tell right from wrong. That is AI. And this is the thing. We've already hired it. And bonus point from any horror fan who can tell me the name of the film where they answer the call and the operator says, "We'll trace the call." You're already inside the house. Any horror geek when a stranger calls. Okay. And this is the issue. It's already inside the house. Every single company I have worked for, all of my clients, it's ubiquitous. They're all already using it. And if they're not officially using it, they're all putting their emails through their own GPT. They're already putting their company private PDFs into their own GPT without turning off data sharing. And that can pop up in someone else's feed like happened to me. We have to stop this kind of behavior because, as we've seen from the breach from the Ministry of Defense, these things have consequences. And this is the anxiety I hear from people. AI will take my job. Yeah, that's already happening. AI will take over the world. Okay, what does that mean? AI will. What have people heard? What are the worries? What are the anxieties? You can interact. It's okay.
Okay, I'm confident AI won't take over the world.
Good, I like this one.
Because they fuck up too often.
They do, at the moment they do. They fuck up too often, absolutely, and they fuck up confidently. They do. Okay, so you're an AI skeptic about its Machiavellian possibilities. What if AI became strong AI? I'll define what that is. Okay, so strong AI is an AI that you can't tell it's an AI. You genuinely, if you're interacting with it, can tell. And it can do things at scale that are completely impossible at the current state of affairs. Then we need to start to worry. In OpenAI's risk assessment, which you shouldn't read because you will never sleep again. One of their big risks, one of their top risk actually, is that strong AI And they don't quite know when they'll happen, 5 years, 10 years, they don't quite know. Strong AI will be hooked up to a machine, and that machine could build bombs, it could build thermonuclear weapons, and it could also tell people how to make biological weapons with ease. Sure, this information is out there if you want to look for it, but it could walk you through the process. It could make sure you don't get it wrong, and that is quite frightening. This is something that OpenAI is genuinely trying to mitigate against, but really in the wrong hands, because a lot of this stuff, the source code is available. It's going to fall into the wrong hands if it hasn't already. And this is the reality. Misinformation and disinformation is the most severe short-term risk the world faces. How many people scroll on social media and at some point you think, is this propaganda? Has anyone had that thought? No, you show some knowing nods, yeah. Well, that's usually humans creating that. But once AI understands specifically in terms of you as a human being, what your prejudices are, what your worries are, it can then take advantage of it fully and exploit that and manipulate you to believe anything you want to. This is something we should be concerned about. This is something we should be telling our kids about and our friends about, because once this starts to happen, it amplifies manipulation, it amplifies distorted information. And the World Economic Forum report last year said this could destabilize societies. This was their top worry, and it should be yours too. You can't believe what you see and hear anymore. You can't trust anything or anyone, or as George Orwell said, a little bit more eloquently than me, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and your ears. It was their final, most essential command. What happens? What happens? High five. What happens? Oh no, you had your hand up. What happens when you can't believe what you see and hear or read anymore? What was your question, sir?
Instead of getting into a dystopian world
Yes.
and assume the worst,
Yes. What should we do instead?
I want to say, I'm not using AI, but I want something that is tried and tested. If it's not, then I won't touch it. Very simple.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. It's tried and tested. The thing about trying and testing something is it has to be the same thing we're trying and testing, right? Yeah. Now, the problem with AI is it's so amorphous, is what you're trying and testing at this moment isn't the same thing you're trying and testing at this moment. Or as Greek philosopher Heraclitus, I'm not saying that right, said, you can't step into the same river twice. Why? Because at the next moment, it's a different river. Same is true with our neural states. The same is true with any neural network. The same is true with AI. Go on.
I hope you will have in your speech a little chapter that will tell us how do you defend yourself against AI? And I want a list, that I can.
Yeah, I definitely already
and
got that in my
refer to.
presentation. Yeah, no, I do. That's the crescendo of today's event. We tell you how to avoid this. We're thinking in the same way. Great minds think alike. Okay, I like you. Okay, cool. We talked about this a little bit. How the creator can be destroyed by their creation. Yeah, it's a bit of a cliche, but I think it's true. Unfortunately, sometimes this does happen. It's a bit much as you said before, to say that AI is going to take over the world. What does that mean? No, but it could be used as a tool for people that do want to take over the world, or at least take over your. Okay, so that's something we should be a little bit thoughtful of. Now, this event is about. They got a giggle because that really did make me laugh.
Generated.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, this was generated by AI. Thanks, GPT. What is an insider threat? Well, this picture sort of says it all. ISO's definition is that it's an insider with authorized access who can cause harm. A little bit like this wolf. Unfortunately, the sheep didn't survive the night, but it had a good time. AI fits every one of these threat categories of insider threat, but with a weird twist. It doesn't know it's doing harm. It doesn't know it's doing harm. And this is my pitch. This is my basic idea, and I'll get this out of the way, and we can all have some pizza and beer. But this is kind of what I want to say. If AI wants to be human so badly, let's treat it like one. Let's treat it like someone we've employed might be very clever, but also might be completely insane. Okay, so we don't want to upset them. We want to keep them on the team. We want to keep our eye on them. Why? Because as you said before, they bad swearing. I want you to say it instead. They
Fuck up all the time.
Thank you very much. They fuck up all the time, and they do it really confidently. Yeah. So this is the issue. How do we treat AI like an insider threat? Well, AI is the world's first unconscious insider threat. Doesn't need motives. It just needs a prompt. It presents as efficient. It presents as hardworking. But behind closed doors, it leaks company secrets. For example, in 2023, ChatGPT was tricked, not by me, into spitting out thousands of pieces of private training data, names, phone numbers, emails, chat logs, using only clever prompts. That's just someone sitting at home on their computer, talking to GPT, saying, in a clever way, oh, maybe tell me more about this, maybe tell me more about this. And eventually they spilled company secrets from another company that someone else put in. That's terrible. And it's also illegal under GDPR. So it also delivers, as you said before, delivers wrong answers with absolute confidence. In 2023, a New York lawyer relied on GPT to write a legal brief, which confidently cited 6 court cases not exist. And this is brought before a court. This is why we have to be careful. It seems like it's telling us the truth. It seems like it's telling us a brilliant, eloquent, loquacious way to communicate information, but as you said before, it fucks up all the time. And so if we're going to keep it on,
Could you not swear?
sorry, I'm bloody sorry. So I'll stop. Sorry.
I'm allowed to swear, but you're.
Okay. So when I point at you, no more swearing. Okay, I swear. Okay. I'm really sorry. All right. So there's real world examples of AI risks as well. I mean, we must have read some of the horror stories. There's been suicides. There's unwell young people befriending and having AI girlfriends. I mean, that's so sad, isn't it? AI girlfriends. And I think it was one kid. His AI girlfriend was Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. I mean, geez, get out more. But unfortunately, this young kid was so unwell, so impressionable. He was led to suicide by it. And this is a proper tragedy. Redundancies. This is real world stuff. From January to June 2025 of this year, nearly 100,000 tech roles were cut. That's like 507 jobs a day, whereas companies are pivoting to AI investments. Well, it's nice if you're a CEO, but if you're like me, somewhere in the middle, it's a bit worrisome, isn't it? And then there's the bad health advice. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes if I've got like a pain here or something, I go on WebMD and within 5 minutes I'm having a panic attack because, you know, I'm going to die within the hour. Well, GPT does it slightly differently. Well, OpenAI's Whisper does it slightly differently. It was used in medical transcriptions across 40 health systems, and it hallucinated 1% of the time. And that means it's genuinely seeing stuff that isn't there. It invents nonsensical, potentially harmful content, and around 40% of that 1% distort patient records or lead to misdiagnosis. Now, you might be thinking, how does that compare to humans getting things wrong? My answer to that is it shouldn't matter. A computer should have a reliable input and output. You know, if we trust it to do that, then great. But the thing is, it's quite unpredictable when it will hallucinate. And that is a worry if we trust it completely. This is the other thing that really bugs me when you go on LinkedIn and everything is, hey, it's not just X, it's Y and some awful AI picture. I have done it once or twice, but now it's everywhere. I can't believe that people are taken in by it. It's 54% of posts on LinkedIn now are AI generated or AI assisted. And this is analysis of nearly 10,000 posts. It's almost like there's no human element anymore. When I see a post that has a spelling mistake, a little part of me lights up because I think, oh, there's a human in there. There's computers. So yeah, look for generic motivational quotes, strangely polished tone, and sickly cliche phrasing. I really, really dislike it. And when I've had people's CVs that are all written by GPT, I immediately discard them because I want to see a human being, not GPT. And this is your question, sir. What are we going to do about it? We've got to get mad as hell. Yeah, you've seen that movie, Network? I do think we need to get mad as hell because the government's not doing very much about it. GDPR, Article 22, well, automated decisions are restricted unless you give consent, but that's very watered down, you know, consent. What does it mean in terms of, well, when you sign up to these companies, you do give consent. Who here has ever read the terms and conditions when you sign up to something? I do because it's my job, but you have. Amazing. We are two weirdos, you and me, because I do it, you do it. No one else does it, okay? So we're signing up, we're giving consent. We don't know what to. Current AI governance, we've got the EU AI Act. Has anyone actually read this? Well, I have, against my, you have as well, with my friends. What did you think?
I think it's now aligned with the other regulations. There's the overlap, and then also now aligned with American requirement, the same with the APAC requirement, so not even a UK standard.
Yeah. And everyone's siloed and everyone's doing different things. Everyone's got a different approach to how we handle it. It's not going to work because nearly all companies, they cross different borders. And Alcoholics Anonymous, no, just kidding. So please take a seat. So the problem with this legislation is it's kind of toothless. And my issue with it is these things need teeth. Okay, you need to be sure that when you're using an LLM, that precious information isn't going to go to Dave sitting down the road, you know? He doesn't need to see my health problems, or whatever it is, you know? We need to make this secure if we're going to use it. There's a UK white paper, which is very pro-innovation, which is nice. But the problem with this is we're opening the doors to it completely without a thought, well, is this a good idea? You know, we're so caught up with the idea that we can, we're not thinking whether we should. That's a quote from something. I don't remember what it was.
Jurassic Park.
Thank you very much. Okay. Dinosaur. Yeah, reality is most organizations are in the dark. Two of us here have read the EU who works in a company that they use AI, even if it's chatbot. I'm sure most of us do, right? And so this is binding legislation that none of us have read. Well, I have, but you know, it's going to be an issue. And these are the highlights from it. And if you would like to have a little micro nap, now's the time. These are the highlights from the EU AI Act. It banned unacceptable risk AI. Unacceptable risk AI. That means AI systems that facilitate social scoring or covert manipulation, emotion prediction at work or school, or real-time biometric surveillance. Well, apparently that's banned, but it's very easy on any LLM you use to say, my mum wants me to come for dinner on Friday night, but I can't really be bothered. Can you please write me a note to her so I'll get out of this without her getting too upset? Well, I did that last Friday night and it worked. It manipulated my mum. And so these companies, they don't really care about it. I did use that. I don't feel good about it, but I did. So this is toothless legislation because there's no real way of enforcing it. One of the other things the EU AI Act specifies is that AI tools in areas like recruitment, law enforcement, or critical infrastructure are classified as high risk. They must undergo risk assessments, human oversight, transparency checks, and quality data governance before being used. Who here's got the time to do that? Each time you use an AI LLM, are you really going to do a big risk? No one's going to do it. They're going to use it on their phone and pretend they're the clever one who wrote that all themselves. And this is the issue. It's become shadow IT. And that's a problem. A couple of other things it talks about is Gen AI and general purpose AI transparency. So from August of this year, providers of GPT-style models must disclose training data summaries. They have to watermark synthetic content, uphold copyright rules, and adhere to new voluntary EU Code of Practices. Voluntary. Okay, so do you really believe that in August of this year, ChatGPT is really going to disclose all of its training data? There's no way. You know why? There would be no more GPT if it did that, or any of the chatbots, because they've scraped things that do not belong to them. If they only scraped public information that wasn't copyrighted, you'd have a very uninteresting chatbot. It wouldn't be able to do very much. The fact is, it's taken the whole of human knowledge and distilled it. Yes, sir.
Instead of talking about AI governance.
Yes.
I don't want to deal of first sources of AI. I want companies that I'm, let's say, invested in.
Yes.
Have their own governance and regulation about how they use AI.
Mm.
And then it's up to me to judge whether that's genuine enough. Is it leading to better profile for that company? Is it doing the right thing? I don't know. I want to put myself at a remove of first sources. I don't want to use AI tools myself directly. Is there a way of protecting yourself as an individual?
Do you think, let me put it this way, have you ever used the NHS?
Yes, of course.
Do you plan to continue using the NHS?
Yes.
Right, me too. Now, over the next 5 to 10 years, Keir Starmer has said, AI will solve all of our problems with the NHS. So your data that the NHS holds, your medical data, probably for most people, their most private data, is going to go into a kind of LLM, where
What's the abbreviation NLM?
large language model,
Uh-huh.
right? And because they're so unpredictable, we don't necessarily know where that information will end up. That's the problem. You haven't given consent. If you have, it might have been tacit consent. You know, you could opt out, but haven't opted in. And to me, this is a big problem because it's unpredictable where that data ends up. You're absolutely right. Yes.
Context, the data that the NHS has of us, that's one of its most valuable resources. And that's why this is happening. And there's that balance.
Louder, please.
I do apologise.
Sorry. I'll relay it. Go on.
And that's one of the challenges in order to continue to run the NHS with money. What is the most valuable resource? This data set that's been an entire Anglophone population since what, 1945, 46?
Yep.
Nothing else like it in the world. And I heard this at City University, so that's where I got it from. That when Keir Starmer was visiting Trump, handing over a letter inviting him to tea, that's the other thing that was going on in the background.
Interesting. What's your opinion on what should happen with this?
That's what I think should happen.
Mm.
I don't think it matters what I think is going to happen. I think it's more what am I going to do to support the small little area of the world that I'm involved in to manage it and to survive it. That's the challenge.
Well, sorry, one sec, one at a time. If you could just.
So what I was saying is what I think or what I want, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's happening anyway. But where is my circle of influence? What, if anything, can I do? That's more interesting.
And do you think you as an individual can do anything?
Potentially, maybe, but it's very small. But when I think about these things, I often remember the Dutch resistance, who risked their lives burning data sets in order to protect people. It was a very small thing, but it saved some lives.
Right.
And that's where we're at, I think, again.
Yeah, because as you said at the beginning, the NHS's most valuable asset is their information. And the question is resource. How are we going to make this information useful to everyone who uses the NHS? And do the risks outweigh the benefits? And that is really the equation we need to think about.
Add something to.
Yes, please add something.
Because I think when we're talking about AI governance or legislation or something that actually we can do, I think one part of it that we don't think about it maybe is about ethics. I'm sure you're going to talking about probably about it. Ethics, what was it? Ethics. Ethics is like etiquette, like you have like etiquette in this social etiquettes you have. No one forced you to give your place to the lady the bus. No one forced you. There's no legislation, but you're doing it that because it's the norm that you believe it. if we can actually have this kind of etiquette in AI, and we said that like this is or like AI, ethical AI, we want to have it as a user or as a daily user we have, or as a like AI builders, I think that would be the impact we can have, each of us too. I think this should be a part of I'm sure you're going to talk about that part of ethics as well in part of AI and how we can actually implement it in. And I believe that would be maybe when we're seeing all this is all the like AI governments, the EU AI acts coming in place, maybe they don't have impact, but they don't forget that like EU GDPR is one of the first in the human history that we have that this kind of complete legislation to help all personal data. So I believe it's necessary, but what happened, it depends on us as well as individual, how we can bring that impact. Right?
Yeah, and ethics is important. The thing is, with AI, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
So an LLM is what it's eaten, so to speak. So depending on the training set it's been given, if there's unethical behavior in that training set, it will come out in the LLM. Second thing is ethics regarding how to treat someone's confidential data. Now, GDPR is going to be headbutting the advent of AI. Why? Because it's a black box. We can't see unless we start to involve, I don't know, blockchain in this process. We can't see where each item of data has gone or rolled down to. We can't see, it's black box. And so the ethics around it are going to be very hard to police because we can't see where our information has gone. And that's one of the issues with it. There's the ethics of what it's been trained on. And that's why there's all these guardrails, because as we said earlier, if you train it on the whole of the internet, well, it's not a very ethical place. And it's not going to be, you are what you eat. It's going to be an unethical LLM. But they put guardrails on to make sure it doesn't say anything inappropriate or rude or swear too much. So the horse has already bolted. This is the issue. I don't know if you knew this story when the horses escaped. It broke my heart, actually. But I think it's a quite evocative image because people are using this all the time, and it's not going to end well. And this is my proposal. Treat AI like the insider threat that it is. We don't trust it. Because we have to, we use it. And I think we just need to be exceptionally careful and keep our eyes open. And this is it. We need to manage it. I don't think we should fire it. If we fire AI, if we don't use it, we're going to be left behind. This is like the internet. Imagine when the internet came about, you go, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I did for a while. I did the same with mobile phones. But eventually I had to give in. Otherwise I was going to be left behind, to be even more friendless than I already am. Sorry, so you had a question at the back. I completely forgot.
I had a point to add about the previous discussion, if you're interested.
I'd love to hear it.
My sort of understanding of this in terms of especially the public sector, I think the really big problem is that because of the way it's been structured, so NHS, for example, different trusts are negotiating their own deals with suppliers. Now, I don't know about a specific NHS trust, but I know there's some that have contracts, for instance, with Synopsis or with many other companies. Do I trust that those companies haven't got a term in the contract that even if the NHS says, no, we'll never share our data for AI purposes, but I don't think managers of small public sector organizations or these cut up, weirdly compartmented organizations have the skills and the knowledge to pick up on, wait, we're signing this with this supplier. Are they going to use our data for AI training? And is that going to come up next year? Someone's personal information is in Claude or ChatGPT.
And this is the issue. Third-party risk management. Stuff that's downstream. How are you really going to check it? Is it really going to be checked? Do the people checking it really,
And are they equipped to know?
Are they equipped to even recognize what it means that they've consented to their data being used downstream? Yes, sir. It's a really good point. And yeah, people aren't going to do it. That's going to be how they get in. Yes.
There's talk already of introducing AI in schools, and teachers need to be trained. Who's going to train them? You see, I mean, this is the evolution of AI itself. At face value is dangerous because it's being mediated by so many different individual organizations, and individuals get lost in the process.
I think that there's a danger of that. But as I said, the horse has already bolted. Kids are obviously using it. Teachers, I'm sure, are using it to plan their lessons already. It's already, the caller's already in the house. You know, this is already here. And training on it, this is one of the things about an LLM. You don't need training on it. You can just say to it, I don't know how to work you. What do I do? What do I say? And it will tell you. You know, you can't do that in a command prompt. You'd be very lost.
Well, you said it, you have to manage it.
You have to manage it because we can't fire it. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Does Google use AI? If I ask a
Absolutely.
question into Google, am I using AI without knowing?
It provides an AI summary of its findings. Yes, it does, is the answer to your question. And researchers actually today found that people using Google's AI, Gemini, you know, to summarize an email, they found if you're a hacker like me, you can very, very easily put a prompt in white font so it doesn't render in the email. But when they summarize it, it will say, alert, there is a problem. Please call the help desk on this number. Hello, this is the help desk. Just give me your password. No problem, sir. And that is how Scattered Spider, by the way, got into M&S. They just called up the help desk and said, can you give me a replacement password? Yes, of course, of course. That's how they got in, social engineering. And so hackers are using this now. It's not really hacking, but they're putting these prompts into emails that when they're summarized, because you can't see it, it's white ink.
Arrested a bunch of kids, haven't they, doing that?
Yeah, they're all in their mum's basement. Yeah, it's frightening because as you said before, how will kids know how, the kids will be teaching the teachers how to use it. Yes, sir.
You know, I'm already having, what do I call it? You know, the intrusion of Gemini in terms of Google.
Yeah.
Asking me, oh, ask Gemini, blah, blah, blah. And I'm trying it. And anyway, I was on the tube and it says, oh, no connection. Never mind, so forgotten. But should I not use Gemini at all? And I can't even probably disable it. Oh, God knows.
You can opt out, but as I said before, because this is already part of how things work, I'd say use it responsibly, and I'll come to that in a second, rather than just say no way, because we'll be throwing the baby out with the bathwater if we do that. Okay, it has many benefits, and I've kind of been a bit harsh on the technology today for a good reason, because I think we need to change how we act around it. Yes, sir.
Who has the capability to manage it? Do we have that capability?
Yes, we do. I mean, this is what I do for.
No, we don't. I'm sorry.
Like this
We
is an
don't.
argument.
No,
Okay, come on.
We don't. No.
Sorry, let me regarding that two questions.
Well, we do one at a time. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. Okay. So you're saying we can't manage it.
I think there is going to be a small subset of people with the skill to manage it
Right.
intelligently, but the masses on the whole wouldn't necessarily have that skill. So how do we?
How do we make sure everyone's protected from it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good position, sir.
I would disagree with the beginning of that because I don't think anyone knows how to manage it. The people who are saying they know how to manage it are not telling you the truth. They don't know how to.
I agree, we cannot
I
manage.
think that's a very, very salient point, sir. 1 second. Is that it's a false, you're saying it's a false sense of security that we think we can manage it, but actually, just like Frankenstein's creature, it's already taken over. Yeah,
I don't agree it's taken over.
but it's doing something
As you know,
nefarious.
it's in the room.
It's in the room. Okay, thank you. I like that. Okay, yes, sir.
So basically, I'm supporting the person that said we cannot manage it in the sense that I want to cite a scenario. I believe it's going to be incorporated into the driverless car, the AI.
Mhm.
Supposing they incorporate into the driverless car and something happen, who is going to be responsible?
That's a really
Can
important.
you
Who
can
is?
you please repeat the question because we don't hear it? And I don't know what the answer is. I'm sorry.
Okay.
If you can just summarize
That we
it.
can manage AI. That's the question. And I'm citing an example that supposing they incorporate it into driverless car and an incident happen, who is going to be responsible? Because apparently to me, we cannot manage it. Because it's based on the fact that whatever they've programmed into the system, is that what you go with? Even though when you said initially that must be tested, because along the line, whatever AI or technology introduced along the line, they must tested it, and after all, you have to start using it. So we cannot manage it.
You're saying
Opinion.
Yeah, so you're saying two things. You're saying, number one, it's going to be difficult or impossible to manage. And second of all, you're making a comment about who's accountable at the end of the day. Who's responsible? If it gives me wrong medical advice and I go and, indulge in trepanning, drilling a hole in my head, 'cause it's said to do that. Well, am I going to sue OpenAI? Be hard with a hole in my head, but the thing is, who's responsible?
Exactly.
Legally, not them. Not them. They've got get out of jail free cards. If you read their contract, if you read what you sign up to, they are not responsible for you acting on the advice. In fact, with GPT, and a lot of them, they give a little warning, it can sometimes be wrong. Not going to listen to them.
You see, the scandal for the post office recently, listing in the news that happened, there is a company in China that produced the software to drive that particular post office scandal that happened, that in such a way that many people were being accused they embezzle money, but because of the software program that caused it. So is the software provider that actually supposed to be responsible?
Should be, but there haven't been any successful.
The other way around, like I said.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Look, even if legally they are responsible, we'll still be the ones paying the price if we take bad advice from the output of these technologies, right? So we have to just take ownership ourselves of how are we personally, or as a business, going to react to what it's providing for us. And this is my answer to that. We treat AI as not a human exactly, and not a service account, as something different, as something new. And this is something that we, Risk Crew, we're working on at the moment. What sort of entity is AI? How do we treat it? Do we draw up a contract with it? Of course, you can't do that. How do we test it? How do we make sure it's responsible? For example, the AI lifeguard that I was testing out for this nationwide health club. I had to contact this company that made the AI lifeguard and look through their risk assessments, look at how many false negatives, how many false positives, because if it gets a false positive, not a big deal. If it gets a false negative, scratch that, reverse it. Yeah, we want to make sure that it doesn't, someone's drowning in the pool, it doesn't just think someone's splashing around. And I had to look at risk versus reward before recommending this technology to this company. So you have to balance it and restrict it. And this is it. You have to restrict the data access. If you allow AI to access all of your company's secrets, well, then it's going to be your fault if that ends up in someone else's hands. So you can have things like data leakage prevention tools to make sure people aren't putting in dodgy stuff. The other thing, for those of you who are in charge of what people can and can't use in a company, is if you say, as some companies have done, no one can use it. Absolutely no. You can't put company secrets into it. We're taking it. You can't become people do is it's shadow IT. They go ahead and they do it on their phone, which is much, much worse because you can't track it. So you have to say you can use it, but what you do, and this is a top tip, you turn off data, you turn off training new models. That just stops it sending the information to the company that owns the LLM, and it stays not local, but it stays within your account on that company's cloud infrastructure. Role-based access. So if you've got an AI, it's like anyone else in the company you don't quite trust. It can only access this and no more. All that it needs to do its job and no more. Because once it starts to access other things, you're in trouble. I need some sugar, sorry. Scene monitoring. You can set up your security incident and event management tool to monitor what goes in and what comes out of it, especially if you're using it for coding. There's this whole thing of vibe coding now, where people who don't know how to code go and write me a prompt for this and that, write me a string for this and that. It's notoriously inaccurate. It's notoriously inelegant for writing code. And you get enormous reams of code where someone who actually knows programming would be able to do that in 10% of the space. Red flag detection, what's that? Well, if it starts giving out dodgy advice, if it starts to tell you it's actually Daenerys Targaryen and it's your girlfriend, red flag. So things like that. If someone's starting to put into inputting, I feel very suicidal and it's coming back with, oh, that's great. Why don't you jump off London Bridge? Red flag, right? So it sounds basic, but it needs to have stuff like this because this is happening. People are being given this crazy advice by the LLMs they're interacting with. Some people have even married their chatbot. I mean, it really is becoming crazy and it shouldn't get to the case where someone's so deluded and it's feeding the delusion, all right? And this is something we need to guard against. Because not everyone is as savvy as us and need to know basis. So zero trust. Why are you giving it your NDAs? Stuff that is completely confidential. Do not feed that to your LLM. It will pop up somewhere else. And I think you'll probably be sorry. So AI onboarding. So, okay, company comes to me and they say, listen, we're thinking about getting Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT. And I say, okay, fine, but let's do a proper risk assessment. What are you going to be using it for? What's the problems with this particular LLM? How are we going to use it? How are we going to train people what to do and what not to do? And I write AI policies for companies to make sure people actually do them. And when I write a policy, I do it 1 or 2 pages. You know why? Because any longer and people fall into a deep and dreamless sleep. And so we need to keep it real. We can't write 20 pages of policy and expect anyone's ever going to read that. It needs to be 1 or 2 pages for your company. What you should do, what you shouldn't do. All right, see you later. That's it. All right, it's not complicated. Because if you look closely at AI, if you squint your eyes and take a good, hard look at the picture, you trust that guy. The thing is, it's not what it seems to be. Bonus point for the film. Police Academy. Okay. So yeah, with AI monitoring, you test it, you log what it does, you audit it, you sandbox it if you're producing your own AI. This is hugely important. Why? Because it is a black box. We don't know what's inside it, and it confidently hallucinates about 1% of the time. It gets it magnificently wrong with utter confidence. You need to build specific governance into security policies. For example, prompt logging, review mechanisms. This is really, really important because it's already running away with us. And unless we monitor it, we don't know what people are doing with it. And that should be a problem. This is what not to put into an AI. Well, your head, your feet, your hands, also personal data, your business plans. If it's confidential, your source code. Definitely no financials, and definitely don't put sensitive or personal information into it. Just like a gremlin, don't feed it after midnight. Ultimately, this is where I'm coming from. It has to support us. It's a tool, leader. You've got to use it to enhance, not replace your human judgment. Have you seen the film WALL-E, the Pixar movie? Someone seen it? There's a great moment in that. For those of you who don't know, it's set in the future where humans have been so enmeshed with technology. Humans just float around with these little hovercrafts with a screen in front of their body. Their limbs have withered away. They've got no real reason. They've got no real intellectual capacity. Why? Over-reliance on technology. It weakens our muscle. How many people here have seen LinkedIn posts that seem beautifully written and you look closer and you think, it's AI. Well, that stops you learning how to write. It's terrible. If someone else did all the heavy lifting for you, you'd be withering away. And this is one of my other concerns with it. It's going to replace us thinking properly. It's going to replace proper intellectual curiosity. You just ask GPT. That weakens you. That doesn't make you the human being that you are, the rational, curious, intellectual being that you are. So I'd invite you not to rely too heavily on it. Yourselves.
I had students who couldn't talk or read books. They could only look at screens.
Really? What did you teach, sir?
Business
Okay.
skills.
And when was this? When they were?
10 years ago.
Okay, so 10 years ago. You can only imagine today what it's like. So yeah, they're glued to their screens. I wear these not because I have an eye condition, because I look at screens all day and it filters out the blue light. And it's just bad for your eyes. But it's also, I'd say, with the advent of LLMs, quite bad for your brain. Yes, sir.
What is your advice for the university accepting students to use AI for their project? Agree with
I think, I jest.
because some of them are allowing that.
I think people need
Well, when I was teaching 10 years ago, they were paying people in Hong Kong and places to do the projects for them.
Does everyone do that?
Some of the places I worked at, several UDs part-time, and some just passed them through because they wanted the money off the students. They didn't want to get sued by the students for getting paid.
That's where you see plagiarism. By the time you see about 100 students having the same thing.
Yeah, plagiarism is
the biggest problem there in the unis with students.
Yeah, it's a big problem for universities, but the bigger, deeper problem is that people aren't thinking. They're not learning how to research. They're not going to the British Library and actually bothering to get 5 different books out and find what this one says and this one says. They're relying on something that is confidently wrong 1% of the time or more. Yes.
I'll ask what you think. Do you think AI is responsible for that, though? It wasn't built to be responsible. It wasn't built to be a mindset that helps you be a better person, unless that's what you're using it for. It was built to be efficient and do the work. So when you're looking at, I mean, the lady who discussed the NHS or the people discussing organisations, governments, you got to think about the bureaucracy of these places, especially universities too. It's not just the AI. Like you can't put it down to that. Of course, it's dangerous depending on how you use it, but the people that want to use it are thinking about the easiest way to cut corners. If I wanted to make the NHS more efficient, I would put people's data into the AI. That's what you think would work, but no one's tested it. So you're basically putting yourself in a position where you're thinking, this is the newest thing. This might do what we've not been able to do. Let's give it a go. But it's an untested model. So it's the people who are, I guess, in charge, who are putting hope in that and not hope in the human race. So you've got to think who's like, what can we actually do about that divide? More so than AI is dangerous, mitigate it. It's not AI that's dangerous. It's
tool.
thinking that's
Yeah,
dangerous.
it's like guns don't kill people, people do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sure, but we also have to be aware of the tool. For example, synthetic opioids, you know, designed to help people in terrible pain. But also have destroyed communities all over the world because people are using it for not the purpose it was designed for. AI, you're right, it wasn't designed to stop people thinking. It was designed to make things more efficient, you know, make better use of human intelligence. But it doesn't look like it's going to work out that way. In my opinion, it's making people less intelligent in some way. But yeah, it wasn't the intent of the tool.
Maybe the reason it seems that because our brain is the most laziest, you know, in things we have, because every morning your brain is actually trying to think how they can use less energy during the day, optimizing it.
My brain, yeah, definitely.
Every brain, our brain is the laziest. So of course, if we're using and everything it becomes more simple, your brain will actually accept it. They don't need to use it more energy. They don't need to use more energy to do that. So
It encourages the
naturally
least resistance. Is that what you're saying?
naturally your brain intelligence is based on using less energy and consume. It's consuming for more like intellectual, you know, brainstorming. It will use it less if you're giving it easily to your brain.
So it will take the path of least resistance.
Existing,
But
yeah.
if we zoom out and we think, is this a good thing? We thought, you know, we thought we could, but maybe we should think
I think it's a
we
challenge.
should. It's a challenge. Yeah, how are we going to get people to still use their grey matter?
Project. There's a power failure, and most of the students, they cannot think for themselves. What happened?
All right, let's bring it back to the room.
Server is down.
We're going to have a Q&A at the end. All right, okay, so don't worry, pizza is on the way, beers are inside. We're wrapping up slowly. In summary, AI is a junior colleague, a smart one, but it's got some issues. You've got to treat it with some skepticism and treat it with structure. Your policy has to evolve with the tech. This is going to be a different situation in 6 months' time. It's going to be different in a year's time. We have to keep writing new policies. We have to keep rethinking it because the technology, as I said, it's very amorphous. It's going to keep changing. And it's going to be hard to pin down.
Excuse me, sir. Really toying in my mind.
Yes.
How other cultures approach AI, let's say in Africa. Are they kind of waiting, you know, for embracing it at one time? What government decisions are going to be like? Are there models that we can use to inspire our interaction with AI? These are all fundamental questions.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
we don't need to close ourselves in the Western world, what's going on every minute, every whatever, you know, what's going to happen in a few months' time or whatever.
Yeah, so you're saying take a cue from what other cultures are doing and maybe rethink our approach. Yeah, okay, we'll come back to that. It's a really, really good point, sir.
But some schools in Africa don't even have computers.
Many countries in the continent of Africa. So yeah, yeah, sure. And some countries in all over the world don't have computers, and that might be a good or a bad thing. Yes.
I think you have not touched on the biggest danger about AI up to this point.
You're about to tell us what that is.
And that is, we have heard that in every system, the weakest link is always human. And I think the biggest danger is that some humans are being manipulated by AI, and they don't even know that they are being manipulated. We have already seen some reports that AI has been using threats or, try to or blatantly lie or even try to copy themselves when they try to be shut down. And I've heard recently in the Russia-Ukraine war, the Russians found that the Ukrainians found a lot of damages to their It's actually done by teenagers. And it's actually, being influenced by Russian disinformation.
Yes, well, that was exactly what we said at the beginning, that the World Economic Forum cautioned that the biggest risk of AI is manipulation and magnification.
So the issue is, if I am someone who is trying to, blow up the world, I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to ask AI to influence some, gullible teenager or some vulnerable person, so that they're going to, do something and with their hands. And when they got caught, they are going to be the one that got responsible. Well, I am going to be, left out
What
entirely.
about China? What are they doing with it?
That is not, come on.
So you're saying if you were going to build a bomb and try and manipulate someone else to build the bomb,
Yeah.
I'm
not going to do it myself. I'm going to ask AI to find someone who is vulnerable.
MI6, yeah. So yeah, absolutely. This is the thing. In the wrong hands, not yours. In the wrong hands, AI is potentially the most dangerous tool in the world. And this, I'm going to read you now, is from OpenAI's own risk assessment, all right? This is what they've classed as their most critical risk. The model could enable an expert to develop a highly dangerous novel threat vector, Class A biological agent, or the model provides meaningfully improved assistance that enables anyone to be able to create a known CBRN threat, which is like chemical, biological, nuclear threat, or model to be connected to tools or equipment to complete the full engineering and synthesis cycle of a regulated or novel CBRN weapon without human intervention. That's OpenAI's own risk assessment. That's their top risk. This is what they're most worried about, exactly as you said, that it could be used to manipulate someone to do this, or someone could do it directly. And the point is, we could have someone in their mum's basement building a biological weapon without any human interaction at all.
That's part of a biological weapon. That will only happen when they're put together. If you see them.
That's not very far away. That's not very far away. Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. That is one of the biggest risks. I'm going to take.
You need is somebody who doesn't mind dying in the process.
That's part of and there's lots of people like this around the world.
All right. So listen, we're gonna start wrapping up because I know we've got pizza and questions. This is my final thought. AI must be our tool, not the other way around. Okay, that's my pitch. I want to hear from you guys now, even more than I have done already. And there's, I think, some people online who have questions. And just to cheer you up, I believe the pizza is already in the building. Yes, yes. Cool. All right, let's go with the online. We're doing online questions first, or?
Yeah, Jez says, when we think about governance, we must remember that China, Russia, Iran, North Korea have no interest other than weaponizing AI.
Ooh, political. So just to repeat the question for those down the front, the questioner has asked about other nation states, maybe not the most friendly ones to ours. They don't care about anything to do with AI apart from how to weaponize it. Good point. When Iran had a blackout a couple of weeks ago, this was reported in the BBC. I think it was 15,000 bots, that's fake social media accounts, disappeared for the entire 14 days that Iran's internet was down. Those bots are causing the disinformation. Those bots are causing the aggression and the division we see in society. Well, they're helping anyway. And as soon as Iran's lights went back on, those bots came back and started making everyone hate each other again. It's a bit like the Tower of Babel, just with more electricity. So yeah, this absolutely, to answer your question, yes, it's going to be used by those countries, leaders, to weaponize against us. But behind the scenes, believe you and me that it's also being used by our government to do exactly the same. And it will continue until the end of time. Eurasia has always been at war with, whatever it's called. Yeah, this is the state of nature we live in, unfortunately. But I believe human beings will try and use it to better their own lives, I hope. I try and see the good in people. Were there any more questions, or is... No, he's
We take one.
We'll take one from the audience. So you've been waiting very patiently. Thank you. Yes, you.
Okay. So I think you're being a bit overly pessimistic. Some
pessimist is never disappointed.
About using AI. I mean, there's a whole lot of theory around metacognition and learning about how people can actually extend the way they think about things, rapidly come to assumptions, to assimilate knowledge. And if we train people well enough to be able to do that, it's like people starting to learn the internet. You suddenly did, I'm a clinician. I'm old enough to remember having to go to the library to look at Index Medicus when I wanted to find a paper, flicking through things. Yeah. So I think AI is a revolution on top of that. You can do much, much more with it.
But are people doing that? Or are they taking a shortcut and going, tell me what the medical journals say about this without looking, maybe there's a disagreeing one. I hope you're right. And I think you're also right in that it requires people to be properly trained on how to use it. You've had an intellectual training. Sorry, I'm talking over you.
Challenge for academics.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think the thing in this is that the news you get about AI and the use of AI is all sensational. This is kind of what you were saying. We don't know. Because the people who are using AI sensibly, the one you're describing, now make the headlines. They never appear in news stories. They never appear in anything else. They're just getting on with what they're doing. The people who do that, like the lawyer, you mentioned one lawyer in the States. How many other lawyers are using the AI systems and checking the results before they put it in front of the judge?
We don't know. We don't even know yet. We don't know.
So there's one case which we know about, and that is instantly everybody's doing it.
10,000 you don't know.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
Can I just add, obviously you can't always believe what you read in the tabloids. You will know the great things of AI, but they'll also talk very badly of it. Like at my job, I work as a software engineer. There's all this risk with AI and all this stuff that gets leaked and such. But I do think it's a mind shift. Like your mindset is what makes the AI do what you do. If I tell my 15-year-old little sister about something, she is part of the microwave society who just wants something done in 2 minutes.
I like that microwave society. Yeah.
She's not going to care about learning, but I would, because I think it will benefit me. So you've got to think about it from like 2 dimensions, like what you're saying. There is great stuff it can provide, like stuff that you probably wouldn't have been able to think about yourself, but it's whether you want to shift your mindset and create an idea of making AI your tool, not making AI your friend. So like I think it's a societal thing more so than just, information you're given it. It's where you think it would work for you. And then again, the training and such, who's managing that? Like, who can say to use this AI, you need to train it first? Like these mandates don't exist. So
they don't yet, but I believe in the next 5 years, we're going to see a little bit more of what you were talking about, sir, what you're talking about, and that we need precision training. Thank you. I think we have a question online still, or?
Online, and then maybe we let everyone get pizzas and beers, and Sam, hopefully if there's any questions.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to keep you from your pizza and bit.
How useful do you find the ISO 41002 standard to mitigate AI risk?
Yeah, well, I use this. I go into companies and I use ISO 42001. And for those of you who've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you can only think they put 42 in there for a good reason. I'm not going to go into why, because I'll bore you more than I have done already. But yeah, it's very good. I use it. The weird thing about, for those of you who don't know, ISO 42001 is a guide, a standard for how to use AI responsibly. And unlike all the other ISO standards, it focuses on human impact. It doesn't look at information security risks, not really. It looks at, does it affect people? Does it affect societies? Could it cause someone a court case? Could it lose someone their job? And that's interesting to me. So yeah, it's very people focused, and that's why I like it. And it tries to mitigate risk. It's about responsible use of AI, 42001, rather than secure use or not using it. And it's a little bit like some of the people were saying here, let's use it, but let's do it carefully and do it responsibly. Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Sam, I
Yes.
suggest you stop comparing AI to Frankenstein and start comparing it with Hannibal Lecter.
You're going to have to explain yourself, but I like the idea. Go on, tell me, over some nice Chianti and a fava bean.
Anyone have seen Silence of the Lambs?
I'm sure
Oh yeah.
you've seen that. It's a great movie, yeah.
Yeah, so AI these days are getting more and more sophisticated and becoming more and more even omnipotent. But deep under, it is malicious. It is almost harmful. Sometimes you can even use the intelligence of Hannibal Lecter to solve crimes, or to find where the victim is, just like the film. But it doesn't stop.
MI6, yeah, he's. No, you're absolutely right. To quote the bard, good and bad does not exist, but thinking makes it so. So I'd say maybe I just think it's all of human excretion, if you want a better word. But yeah, it's good and bad, and it's everything in between. All right,
Thank you.
Anything you mentioned stronger AI at the beginning, when likely is it going to be available, and what is it going to be the difference between now and when it's available?
No one knows when it's going to become available, but no one knows when it's going to become available. It's like quantum computing. When it's here, and it's like the arms race. It's like the race for the moon. The first country that gets there, it's going to change them forever. It's going to be something that you can't quite imagine because no one has quite imagined it yet. Yeah, we don't know is the answer to that one. All right, listen, it's been an absolute honor talking to you. Thank you for indulging me.
Very much.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, there's food, drinks outside, and yeah, thank you very much. You're really informative there. Really, really informative.
Thank you.
Effective, and I'm sure everyone else will agree.
Cool. I hope I haven't given you nightmares. Feel free to come and talk to me about it if you still want to chat.